We're live on air. Here it is, going live. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
It says an error.
Uh-oh.
It says we're not live. Can anybody see us, hear us? I got an error on my size. Please try again.
Oh, wait a minute. Something's happening. No, we're on.
We're on? Ah, well, on my end, it's showing we're not here.
Yeah. I see the stream.
Okay, let's see if I can work it on my side.
Yeah.
It's wearing. Oh yeah, there we are. We're on live.
Yeah. We're good.
Okay. Yep. Got the clearance. Mark there saying we're all good. Patty's on board. Scott Roller, how are you?
Yeah.
Carlin, now you see it. Excellent.
There we go.
Okay.
So I was commenting on the pre-call about you wearing a jacket because me really not being big on geography or how the world works.
You sound American.
Winter.
You sound American.
Yeah, exactly. You mean the world does not revolve around the United States?
Yeah. It's winter time. It's coming into winter here.
Yeah, as you're coming into winter, we're coming into summer. So
yeah.
It takes a little bit getting used to.
It does?
Yeah. So there's a sitcom that's no longer around in the US. Maybe you heard it down there, called Seinfeld. You ever heard about Seinfeld?
Yeah. He's the most successful show of all times, isn't he? Based on the money he's pulled in.
So his sitcom, when they were the way it was described as a show about nothing.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think about today's episode. It's going to be an episode about nothing.
Because nothing at all.
Yeah, we were comparing notes before the call and realizing, hey, shit happened really last week. I'm hoping some of the folks in the audience have got a few things they can throw out at us.
Okay,
otherwise,
so
I'm going to do shadow puppets here soon.
I'm not winning here. Power up live questions. I thought that was meant to work. Doesn't that take us to the WhatsApp page?
Let me click it. It says can't be reached.
Power up live there's no S on the end of it. There we go. There's no S on the end of it. It's meant to be power up live question.
Wait a minute. Shouldn't it be bit.ly/power up live questions?
Mate, you're getting into technicalities here. Yeah, but correct. Let me type it in again.
Let me just check it.
bit.ly/power up.
Doesn't like that either.
Question. Try that.
Power up questions.
Nah, something went wrong there with that one as well. What the heck, man?
So this is how we're going to spend the show. Is trying to get something up.
Bit.ly. I see what I did wrong there. Here we go. This is going to be right now.
Fourth try is a charm.
.ly/power up live question. There we go. Let's see if that works as a link now.
You really should write these bit.ly links down when you create them.
I'm looking at another screen here, and let's see what it says. Bit.ly power up live question. Oh well, doesn't work.
What is it supposed to be going to? The WhatsApp?
The WhatsApp. Yeah. But not to worry. What is it, Steve? The background ocean is always sunny and clear skies. Yes. That is correct.
Exactly.
Allison's joined us all the way from London. How are you, Allison? Can you put up a link? Allison, you can flick me a link actually on WhatsApp for your virtual event. And I'll chuck it in the chat here. So if people want to join that, and let them kind of get involved in the conversation a bit more.
What is her event? I think did we talk about it last week? I don't remember.
Oh my gosh. I just get into the London Power Platform Happy Hour, which is kind of stooped to a new level. Keith Watling has put up a dick pic, and I cannot believe that is the level that channel has now got to. That is isolation for you. That is quarantine. I cannot believe that's the first thing that assaults my senses when I opened up. I wonder, oh, yeah, no brainer. Look at the number of people that have left the chat as an unsubscribe.
Leave it to Mr. Watley.
Oh, Keith, he cracks me up. He's got less limits than we have, I think. Andrew's joined us from the UK as well. Hey, Andrew, good to have you on the board. Yeah, Alison knows what I mean there. Oh, I cannot believe that he put that up there. Okay, so Steve,
yes.
I got a question during the week, and the question was a follow-up from last week, which was around paying on the ISV subscriptions, as in with Microsoft, ISV embed, the 10% and the 20%. And the question was from a chap in the US was,
Sure.
have you paid any fees to Microsoft as a listie in the PowerApps store, in the oh, what's the name of the store again? I've forgotten the name of the store.
AppSource.
An AppSource. And ISV co-sell ready. Have you paid any fees to Microsoft in the last 12 months that you've been in the program?
You mean me?
Yeah, I mean you.
I'm going to refuse to answer on the grounds that I could incriminate myself. But those are three different things. Actually, four different things that you brought up. We've got ISV embed, which doesn't have anything to do with the 10%. Then we got the 10%, and then we got the 20%, which are kind of two different things. And
hang on, why is the 20% two different things?
So 20% is what engages co-sell. So that's the premium threshold of the program, ISV Connect program, that you can opt into, and Microsoft has to accept you. It's not automatic. They need to make sure that co-sellers, which when I say co-sell, I mean Microsoft sellers. These are the Microsoft folks out there in the field talking to big customers about Microsoft products, and they are incented on bringing in ISV solutions. And that 20%, the difference there is to create that incentive to pay them to do that. But Microsoft doesn't want just any old ISVs out there because, well, they wouldn't be successful potentially, and the co-sellers wouldn't sell it or something. So they're really looking for stuff that makes the co-seller's job easier. Think about deep vertical solutions. That's the kind of stuff they really like to see in co-sell. I did, speaking of deep vertical ISV, I had my virtual keynote last week for that ISV's conference, which turned out pretty good. I was happy with that conference. They seemed pretty happy. So that's going to be my new thing, is trying to get people to have me do virtual keynotes. It's good money. You don't have to leave your chair.
You don't have to leave your chair.
Don't have to leave your chair.
Yeah.
So I started off, this was a particular industry group, and I started off my keynote pretty much by telling them they're all fucked.
Oh my, are you serious? How many were on the call? This is around 250 or so people?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, their industry is free fall, never going to recover from the virus. They might as well just all do something else. Well, maybe a little bit of that was for shock value to get their attention, but they're, in their particular case, their industry is their associations. Yeah, the association industry. So think of all these, American Association of, you name it, right? Yeah, plumbers, chiropractors, whatever. Yep. That's a tough business right now in something like this. I mean, that's that thing that, it's a membership. These are all membership type things, right? Every month, you're looking at your credit card and you see that. I mean, how would you like to have a business where every single month your value is judged? When your statement comes in, every single month. Yeah. That's a tough business. I mean, you got to be on your game, and unless it's a small enough expense that nobody notices it. But if it's got any kind of size to it at all, especially right now, everybody out there today is focusing on two things. The two things they always should have been focusing on, but didn't necessarily. One was revenue generating opportunities, activities, and the other is cost cutting activities. But not a hell of a lot you can do right now in the revenue generating activities front. You know, your salesmen, you know, are going to keep trying to do what they're doing, but there's, you know, that's a tough one to try. And now's not a good time to say, you know what, let's blow up sales. Let's launch some brand new sales initiatives and blow up. There's not a whole lot you can do today that's going to do much for your revenue. If anything, it's probably going to go down.
What about, is it a good time to launch a startup around, you know, with a product in the App Store? You reckon that's a good time?
Well, you know, you get plenty of attention for the App Source team because they got nothing else to do. So I've been, they actually are one of our apps in there, well, all of our apps in there, because they changed the, you know, we changed the whole model now, right, to where you don't just send a customer to the URL, right? You need to send them to the app.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Which is an extension of that URL. Otherwise, they're just landing in who knows where the hell they're landing, and they can't figure it out. And for the longest time, they didn't have that working. All you could put in was the, you know, the root URL to your instance for a test drive. And you know, so that poor customer can't find your app, and that's not a good experience. So they fixed that, and so I was going through, you know, some of our apps up there to add that extension, and of course everything else is breaking now. But I mean, I got the whole team sitting here pretty much waiting now. They had nothing else to do for me to try this, give them a call back, try that, give them a call back. They got nothing to do. So I would say, yeah, if you want to put something in App Source and we're looking for some hand holding, now's a good time to probably do that. You get plenty of hand holding. They don't seem to be very busy.
But is it a good time to launch a new product? That's the point that I'm probably making in this market. Not so much getting an app source, but you know, my experience in the last 2 months is that nobody really wants to talk about new business right now. It's just, it's
interesting.
not,
I think we had as soon as this stuff started really hitting, at least here in the US, and I'm sure everybody kind of had their timetable where this happened, companies just kind of said, oh shit, I don't know what's happening. I'm going to stop everything. No more hiring, no more buying anything, stop all projects. If you haven't signed a contract, don't sign it. Everything stops dead today until this is over. Well, it's been a while now, and you know, it's not over yet. But now people are starting to kind of come out of the shadows a little bit. You know, I think they kind of went on overreaction lockdown. So we had 2 projects this last week that had been kind of on hold to see what's going on, that all of a sudden, you know, pop back up live and are moving forward. So that made me kind of happy to see that people are starting to crawl back out from under the shell that they ran under all scared. You know, so far as brand new customers calling out of the blue to say, hey, I want to talk about maybe doing something, haven't been hearing a whole lot of that lately. These are ones that were already kind of in the hopper that maybe had stopped and now are you know, restarting. So far as launching a new business, a new product, I don't know. I obviously there's not going to be a lot of interest in purchasing it, but maybe you can start making some noise about it. Costs would probably be low if you're looking to get developers on a team right now. There's a bunch of developers sitting on their hands, probably willing to work for not much. So I mean, there's probably some pros and cons, but I wouldn't expect.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely, I'm noticing that people are just saying they're just not wanting to discuss at the moment. There's this lack of interest because of, you know, well, I say it's Maslow's law of hierarchy or Maslow's law of needs, right? People are, there's more pressing things right now that are just occupying their brain cycles. And thinking about innovation or what next, or because there's kind of this lack of, nobody really knows what's next at the moment because none of us have trod this territory before.
Well, I mean, I do, but I can't tell everybody because I'm going to save that for myself. Actually, I do have an idea for something that I think will end up being potentially pretty big. But you know, when you talk about launching something, there's a lot, as you well know, because this is kind of your business. There's a lot to do with the timing and of a launch when there's a little bit of a froth and a fever out there about stuff. Definitely not whenever. Right now, you couldn't make any noise if you wanted to, because like you said, nobody's listening. There's times where, and as you know, when you're going to do a product announcement, that's not just something you do the day it's ready to be announced. That's something you do on a particular strategic day for a particular,
Exactly.
You don't do it on a freaking holiday. You don't do it on a weekend. You don't do it on, this time of the month. You don't do it this time of year. I mean, you want to kind of time that up. Shit, stock market just took a crap yesterday. We're not going to announce it tomorrow. I mean, there's lots of factors that come into the best time to get the most noise, and I don't know if there'd be a good time to be able to get a lot of noise here, right? Now, at least not as far as we can see at the moment.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much though. I mean, our whole economy over here is driven by the stock market. And when the stock market is up, confidence is up from consumers as well as mostly business people, and their confidence is up. They're hiring, they're building. The stock market goes down, everybody just kind of follows up and down with the stock market, and the stock market goes up and down every day. So I was talking to someone a while back. There was, I think I was overhearing an argument they were having with some Trump supporter who was talking about, what Trump did for the economy, and they were saying, "Oh no, he just inherited what Obama had started." And I was thinking to myself, the stock market goes up and down every day. There's nothing that Trump did in his first 2 years that's still impacting the stock market today. What impacted the stock market today is what happened fucking yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, you look at what happened with this virus thing popped, man, it just plummeted. And everything sucked out with it. So I have no idea what point I was trying to say when I went off on that ramble. I'm really just trying to fill time.
around with your launch at this time. A couple of things Allison's just sent through to me, and I'll post it into the chat, is that if you want to join the conversation in a virtual happy hour, there is the link to the virtual happy hour session, which runs fairly regularly, and that's basically bring your beer, get on camera. But there is actually another one. There's what's called the Bespoke Badger Virtual Pub. Have you heard of the Bespoke Badger Virtual Pub?
I have. Is that a Huntingford deal?
That's a Huntingford deal. You're onto it. So let me just see if I can. Here we go. I've got the URL for that.
So we also need the time for her event, because that link just takes you straight to the Zoom meeting page. But there's I think you need to schedule to know when to go there.
What's that one for?
Virtual, the one you just put up earlier, the Power Platform Virtual Happy Hour.
Oh yeah, let me just jump in there. Let's see where that one goes to.
It just goes straight to a Zoom meeting link, but there's nothing about when to go there.
Yeah, okay. So Allison, do you want to check that up? I think if Allison's still with us, she can pop up the details, because I know she's involved in that. Then there's that virtual, and I don't know why that's not turned into a hyperlink. Let's see why I can make that do that.
The centralized view of community virtual events. All right, cool.
Is this Huntingford's?
That's the virtual events hub that you put in there. I see his listed in there, the Bespoke Badger.
Yeah. So he's set this up. Huntingford set this up. It's one of his initiatives. But as you can see, everyone like that their screenshot is from these sessions. And like, as you can see, mate, look at the who's who. Euchre is in there.
Why is it our weekly live show on his calendar?
Huntingford's in there. Mike Hartley's in there, I see. Chris himself. Yeah. Antti is on there. And of course, his big announcement this week, he's Antti Pioneer. I don't know if I got that right, but he is up there in the Netherlands, and you can see he's one of the founders of that startup with Euchre, I see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got lots of familiar faces there.
Yeah. Well worth going.
There's Watling fully dressed.
Watling didn't put his own dick pic up. He put somebody else.
Oh, chicken shit.
But anyhow, so if you're listening and you want a couple of different events out there to join or get in, Jonas, the police is on the call. Here
yes,
he
he
is.
was lurking.
He always picks me up on my lack of pronunciation. Thank you, Jonas. Good to have you on here.
All right, 1900 BST, which for those in the US means nothing.
What's this? Oh, that's British Standard Time. What's that for? Is that the time that it's on here?
That's what Allison's just said, 1900.
Oh, yeah. So you know that if you go into Google, man, and you type in 900 BST, it'll auto convert it to your time zone.
Well, I'm gonna do that right now and see if it does.
Pajanin. Is that right, Yuka? Sorry, is that right, Jonas?
Pajanin. Oh yeah. All right, so it's
2 p.m. EST. There you go.
At 10 p.m. in my time.
Oh, at night.
Yeah, if this is correct. I don't know why I decided it was also a Tuesday. Oh, that's because today's a Tuesday.
So
British summertime?
Yeah, it's summertime, and just like it is in your area, isn't it? Summertime now.
It is. Yeah.
I see over the last week there's been a couple announcements from DCI around the the PowerApp World Tour has been announced.
Yeah, speaking of Antti, he's had some feedback on that. The UG Focus, which was going to be a live event in Denver, and there's probably other UG Focuses that they're doing, but that was going to be a live event in Denver. I actually signed up to present at it because it was at a time of year I didn't have anything else to do, and I thought, Denver would be nice. I was just going to go out there and give me an excuse to go, and then it turned into a virtual event. And they asked me if I was still interested in speaking. I'm like, not as interested, but sure, I already have a deck, might as well. So I haven't mentioned anything on our private channel about speaking there because everybody's all going up in arms over there. But I can't believe they're charging people for a virtual event. Anybody that would speak at that event is a traitor.
What's the price for the
like $650 or something.
US, okay.
Yeah, $650 US, and the Power Platform World Tour is $349 US for a virtual event.
There's obviously some costs that need to be covered, right, of putting on these events. I saw somewhere
there's a cost to be covered of their whole fucking organization. I mean, it's a business organization. They got employees, they got rent, it's an operation there. It's not a philanthropic organization. They're not funded by charitable donations. It's a for-profit business. We were talking earlier about associations and me telling them they're all fucked. Well, there's another example because that's exactly what they are. They are essentially a trade association. You pay a membership fee to be part of that group, and they have their various events that they make revenue off of, and other things that they make revenue off of, and all of those things are in jeopardy right now. It'll be an interesting experiment to see who will pay for a virtual event, frankly, of any kind.
Yeah.
Much less one on something like a platform that YouTube is full of content on. I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I mean, they're guys like me speaking there. I mean, I got nothing to say I haven't already said before. I mean, so if I was going to pay for a virtual event, I would expect I'm going to get some sort of exclusive, only heard here content. And you're not. You're going to get all of us getting up there regurgitating the same shit we talk about everywhere else.
You're
going to pay for it.
So I see we're only 2 weeks away from Microsoft Bizet Summit. Do you realize it's that soon?
I did not realize it was that soon.
Yeah, 6th of May, and we're on the 22nd of April at the moment. It's the 6th of May. So that link there, if you're not registered yet, and I mean, it's not like I'm promoting these guys, but hey, this is going to be, as they say.
There's no cost for that one, right?
No cost here from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You're going to have every product member person involved in Microsoft in the business application space speaking at this event. So, and will it all be done on Teams? Who knows? I don't think Microsoft's ready to release their new product to run conferences yet. And of course, I'm just speculating that there is a new product coming, but I can't imagine that there's not.
I think it's an enhancement of an existing one, but
yeah. I don't know whether there's space now to bring out a new product just for conferences that's not Teams.
Heck, they're still using Live Meeting 2007 on some of these things. Remember that? Some of those things, but, and I also I'll bet that since it's virtual, it's all going to be recorded.
You reckon pre-recorded?
I think it's all going to be pre-recorded. They've all been pre-recording all their content already up to now. It's all being pre-recorded, kind of like the virtual launch event. I think it'll all be pre-recorded. I mean, there'll be live moderation for questions, and maybe even the person who did the session will be there to answer questions at the end, but I'll bet the content's going to just all be recorded.
So if you want to get a feel then for what that's, well, it's not even going to give you really a true feel, because after these events, they always publish all the recordings, right? Microsoft have been very good in the last couple of years of recording most sessions, at least the audio and maybe the PowerPoint, not necessarily a video of the speaker, unless you're on a main stage. So this is going to be interesting times. I think it's going to be if it's going to be run in Teams, and it'll have to be the Teams live function they'll use, which is a very sterile experience. There's not the live.
We know you don't like Teams. You're not a Teams fan.
Hey, I am a Teams fan. Horses for courses. When people racked up on Zoom, I was just like, that fucking pisses me off that they want to attack that product. And I'm pretty sure.
Did you see that Conan O'Brien thing?
Where he
joined some company meeting.
He Zoom bombed a little businesses meeting. Yeah. I didn't see it. It
was pretty funny. Just caught them all completely off. I mean, it wasn't a hack of a Zoom bomb. They had an inside guy at the business that
totally
access stuff like that.
Yeah. Like right now in Zoom, if I go and click on Manage Participants, and I click the invite button, copy URL, and I put that up on Twitter, which is what people have been doing. Join our meeting. What's going to happen, right? Anybody can come in on that link.
I'll tell you what, we got 30 minutes left. Why don't you throw it up in the chat?
Okay, here we go.
See if any of these folks actually want to come join us for a little video chat.
Let's see if anybody jumps.
Yeah, we got. I mean, we managed to get through half of this without any help.
There you go.
now we're out here begging for help to turn this into.
There's the link. See who's going to jump in and join us.
I think it's interesting when you talk about MBAS. MBAS has always been Microsoft product managers talking about their product.
Woohoo! Here they come.
Oh yeah. All right.
Okay, the beauty is I've got a gateway on it, and so I can admit these folks in.
Oh yeah, don't let Jonas in.
Come on, guys, put your cameras on. Don't be shy. There we go. There we go. Welcome. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Oh, Connor's joining. Connor. I wonder who Connor is. It's my son's name. Can't see him jumping on. Scott's jumping in with us.
Yeah, cool.
Look at that. Bringing on.
MBAS is always the Microsoft product manager, so you kind of get their angle and perspective on the product that they're presenting, which isn't always what we users think. So it's like you also have to do one of these. You got to go to things like where the MVPs or just other experts on the product are talking independent of Microsoft, kind of cross reference the stories of what you're hearing. Oh yeah, we're starting to fill up.
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
There's
hey, I'm just about, we moved this up an hour earlier. So for me, it was 4 p.m. Eastern, which would be, what is that, 1600 everywhere else in the world time, which is a little early for a beer. I was happier we were doing the 5 p.m., which is, I guess I had 12 hours at 1700. That was closer to beer time.
It's never too early for beer. Come on, Jonas, here he is. I'm wanting to see if he's jumping in.
It is too early. What time is it where you are, Mark? Isn't it 8 in the morning?
It's 8:30 in the morning at the moment. Yeah.
So that's not too early for a beer?
As in, so I'm on the equivalent of beer. It's just got no alcohol in it.
Cool. So is Jonas coming in?
Nah, I think he's too soft. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think he
probably.
can face the music coming on live.
For those of you guys that don't know Jonas, he's really kind of a pussy.
It's not Jonas, it's Jonas.
Jonas, yeah, I know. I like calling him Jonas. I do it on purpose. Because, he's kind of a pussy. There's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, harsh. How are you, Norm?
It's not like he's going to come on here and call me out or anything,
Mm-mm.
I'm amazed that there's a number of bald people to haired people is like equal.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, we're taking over the world.
Totally.
So this is funny because this is Ken, but my son has to use this computer to Zoom a lot for school, so that's why it comes up.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Andy.
Patty, can you tell us a bit about your big new announcement of what you've launched?
Yeah, the virtual power group. I can, yeah.
Did you say virtual pervert? That's what it sounded like to me.
There's your new startup business.
Jonas is joining us.
Social isolation,
But tell us about it.
Yeah, so me and 5 others based in Scotland, started a local virtual power group. Essentially, you sign up on the website, and that gives you access to a Teams environment. And you're on the day as a guest. And we're going to be running night classes.
What's the URL? What's the URL for folks?
Virtualpowergroup.co.uk, I think.
Just type it in the chat there, and then I'll chuck it up on.
Look, we have a Jonas impersonator. Somebody's playing a video of Jonas in a call. How you doing, bud? Good to see you.
He's quiet. Come on. Jonas, how do you pronounce Auntie's last name? No. Don't type it. Tell it. Say it out loud, man. Say it out loud.
He doesn't have a microphone. His family's asleep. What time is it there?
Fair enough. Allison's joining now.
Oh, middle of the night? Well, we appreciate you getting up in the middle of the night to listen to me and Mark talk about nothing. This is our episode about nothing.
How are you, Chris? Patty, have you dropped in that link in the chat session here? In the Zoom chat, and then I'll chuck it up on the up into YouTube. Allison, how are you? Running around there. Excellent.
Yeah, links in the chat.
In the Zoom chat.
It is.
The Zoom chat. No, not the Zoom chat.
No. Yeah, because it won't let you put it up on YouTube for some reason. Chuck it in the Zoom chat, and I'll chuck it up on YouTube. For some reason, it won't allow us to just chuck that up there.
Yeah, so we'll be running a bit of a
we don't want
school,
these people
some open forum sessions, demos.
Yeah.
That sort of.
And so what's the frequency of this? I'm pasting it up there now. There you go. Oh, shit. It's a wrong link. Remove that one. That's not what I want. So tell us a bit more about it, Patty.
So we'll be running night classes for consultants, starting beginners, maybe put some more technical ones in there as well. But that's every 2 weeks. I'm running that. There's an open forum, just an open discussion. We've got a poll to see what we talk about, so people can vote. The members of the group can vote and see what we talk about, and that's a week. And then, but the idea is to try and encourage people to bring their own, to bring something else to the table. So if someone's practicing for a presentation, wants a dry run, and the idea is it's a safe place to do anything. And hopefully, once we get the more members involved, the members will start running itself, really.
I like it.
We'll start off.
Much better than this. This is not a safe environment.
Yeah, this is good. VPG. I like it. And so really you're helping people with their careers, right? And develop not only their community skills, but also their communication skills.
Yeah, so we'll also be posting jobs, helping careers, helping people get into it. And again, so it's not just for Power Platform professionals, it's for anyone, users or businesses as well. So encourage partners and also, again, end users to get involved as well. And anybody who's got a slight interest, even Salesforce people can come along if they want.
Wow.
Get
Wow.
involved.
Very cool. Very cool. I like it. Good initiative.
There do seem to be quite a few of these popping up in different parts of the world.
Like
People
what?
kind of grabbing onto Power Platform, creating virtual user groups, regional, and seem to see a lot of them popping up in different regions.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think it's filling a gap, right? There's an ever-growing gap. I'm constantly hit up on LinkedIn for people now, particularly in this time, looking for jobs or how do they get into a career in this space. I was having a chat earlier this week with a lady, and she is in healthcare at the moment in the US, and she wants to get into PowerApps. She wants to transition her entire career out of healthcare into PowerApps. And so how do you advise someone? What's your advice to somebody that have no experience whatsoever, starting from a standing start in a different industry? What are the first steps that they should take to begin a journey or get to the point that they are employable?
You know, I don't know that they're starting at zero. I mean, compared to what I would know about her business, I mean, I'm kind of starting at almost the opposite zero that she is. You know, you take some mid-level administrator in a hospital, right? She's probably not making that much money, but she's in that administration level where she sees all the bullshit problems, all the picky panny issues that are going on, all the problems a hospital has to run day to day, nuisances, spreadsheets, all this kind of crap. So she's got the domain knowledge about understanding the problems, and also to be able to recognize, which, you know, the other key is being able to recognize a solution to a problem when you see one. And I think as partners at ISVs, we tend to come up with solutions to problems that we don't understand, and then, you know, customers look at it and they understand right off the bat that, yeah, I see what you did there. That's not what I need.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So to have people that have got that firsthand knowledge of the pains, I mean, yeah, she's not.
What's happened to Steve-O there? We've lost Steve-O. He's kind of like...
I don't know what her technical thing
is. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I almost feel like I'd rather be starting there than starting with understanding the platform, because I don't understand fucking problems.
Yeah, but here's the thing is that, like, she's not in the IT part of healthcare. She's in the frontline worker of healthcare. So I'm not talking about somebody that's kind of been around the area of the technology. She's wanting to do a total career change and get into it. And so what's your advice for somebody at going from zero to being employable?
So she wants to go from being a grunt in a hospital to a PowerApps grunt?
She wants to get into technology.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean, I think you're obviously baiting the idea that it's easier today because of PowerApps, because people always wanted to get into technology. Didn't know anything about it. You know, that's not new.
I don't have
I think what's new is maybe you don't have to bust out a textbook and learn COBOL or something anymore. You know,
valid, but
the path has gotten easier for someone to enter a career, which, you know, in the long run may not necessarily be good for us. I mean, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to be half-assed. I mean, we already have that problem now, even with people that know what they're doing that are half-assed. You know what I mean? Let's add a whole bunch of people that don't even know what they're doing, getting just half-assed enough to think they know what they're doing, selling junk, building crap because they don't know the difference. I mean, we already suffer from that with partners that decide, hey, I've been doing Office 365. I don't know shit about Dynamics. Sure, I'll install that for you, customer. And, you know, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Make a mess out of it. Customer didn't realize they made a mess. Maybe they didn't get fired, and now suddenly they think they're a fucking expert. You know, and out there selling half-ass services. So now we're going to open up floodgates for all of these folks to join the PowerApps community and build a bunch of shit.
How do you tell us how you
read? Is that cynical? What's that?
It's a bit cynical. Listen, let me ask those that are on us with us. Allison, if someone came to you and said they were wanting to get into PowerApps from standing start. They don't even know what a Power App is. They just heard they've got to get into technology. And in this case, her husband said, man, you need to get into PowerApps because he's comes from a Power App background. In the US, what would your advice to them be, Alison?
I think the first thing that I would suggest they do is look up Samit Nini's story.
Or just me.
And look at what he did. His first foray into, he was a security, for those that don't know Samit, he was a security guard. And he discovered that they had a problem with people not understanding what they were trying to tell them at Heathrow Airport when they had to take liquids out of their bag. And they had this laminated book of which there was only one copy that they would have to put back in a certain place every time they used it, that had all the translations into different languages for quantum. And he said, like, there's got to be a better way of doing this, right? So he found out.
Short of making copies of the book.
Oh, one may argue that was probably a far quicker solution, but yeah. He then looked up PowerApps, and essentially the advice that I would take, or the scenario that I would take from that and pass on to someone else of advice is, look for a problem in your current organization that you can resolve with PowerApps, right? Look to find something that needs a solution that can be provided by PowerApps. And you don't have to, it doesn't matter that you don't know anything about PowerApps. You have to have the idea that you have to conceive of the idea of what solution you're going to provide for people. And you have to assume that the technology exists to be able to build it, right? And some of it may be too complex for someone who's just starting out. But as Steve already alluded earlier, there's so much content online that you can find out 90% of it, and the other 10%, there's a whole community on Twitter, there's a whole community on LinkedIn. I would say, reach out to those people. They'll give you the solutions and the advice that you need. Get onto Twitter, follow the hashtag Power Addicts, and you'll find a whole bunch of people that do all kinds of stuff. So, I think the point that you're alluding to yourself is that it's great that there's no barrier to entry now, right? Anybody can get involved in it. You don't have to, be a coder. Sarah Lagerquist and Scott Duro famously do a low code versus no code session. I'm not a coder. I haven't come from a software dev background, and I'm able to build PowerApps, albeit crap ones. That would probably make Steve's toes curl, I would imagine.
I think there's a whole strata of business problems that are actually nuisance level, but would be very simple to solve, that either aren't being solved at all today, or being solved with whatever tools they had, like, I don't know, a spreadsheet or something, which I don't think scales past sharing it with one person. And there's a whole bunch of those kinds of problems. I mean, you go into an organization and they got budget for a big problem. Great big problems, we got budget. We could solve this great big problem. We don't have any money at all for all these little chicken shit problems. IT has no interest. So they just continue to have, the big problem could be this awesome Mercedes-Benz solution that they've come up with. It's surrounded by all these little shit problems that nobody's dealing with. And that's ripe area that I was in that keynote I was mentioning the other day. I did a quick demo, and just for something to show, I didn't want to show you too complicated. I literally went to home.dynamics.com, which we can all do, scroll down to the bottom of that first page, and they got a bunch of their little sample apps, some silly little sample apps, a asset checkout app, a time leave request app, little apps. Spun them up in about 2 minutes just to show these people these weren't that difficult things to have built, and they were solving a little problem that was a big pain in the ass for people. And I think that's where, I don't know if you can make a career out of solving little problems or not. Maybe.
I think you can, just taking examples from my own business, we've got a really stupid little problem that is easily solved with a bit of Power Automate, where we send documents for signature from Dynamics through DocuSign, And because certain things don't happen on our system until we get the signed contracts back, what was happening is somebody had to manually, although the signed documents go into Dynamics, somebody had to manually go in and update that they'd been signed. So it was just a little something stupid. And you're right. That's the advice to give people, is find the stupid little bits of shit that nobody's focusing on, that are just costing so much time and taking up so much energy, or can get missed, and cause a problem when they get missed. Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Well, and I wrote a post not that long ago about basically plugging holes, and how PowerApps is a great tool for plugging holes, and businesses have got little holes all over the place. And now's as good a time as any to go look at all those little holes, because most of them are costing you money. I talked about one of our customers, a very large customer here in the US, that all of a sudden came to the realization that they were losing $250,000 a month because of credit card expirations of their customers that weren't being tracked. And because they're continuing to provide services to these customers and not collecting, and nobody really even was paying any attention or even knew this thing. And that whole problem got solved with basically a Power App. It wasn't that difficult to get the data from their, I think it was SAP system, or whatever the hell their credit card information was, and just create some notifications to customers. Hey, your credit card's about to expire. And most people, update it. They don't if they aren't asked, And then, a ratcheting up of a couple more messages until finally they just get the notice goes back to the company to turn off their service. And but the irony was, and I think that building that, it was a little bit more elaborate, but it was a Power App. I think they spent maybe 15 grand on services to build this whole, and most of that was because they're slow and take forever. It took them 6 months to approve this $15,000 expenditure to save the $250,000 a month that was going out the door for each of those 6 months. Kind of ironic. But that was an example of a big obvious problem that was solved with a Power App. But there are tons of these little ones. Just all over the place. Leaky boats. And you can't do anything right now to grow revenue in most situations. So if you're in business, you better focus on the other side.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, your problem by firing everybody.
Let's move back to the normal session. So I'll just I was expecting some crazy stuff to be happening from letting all these folks into the room.
So you're saying that they're all boring?
So
You've all been boring and unexciting. So we're going to remove you.
So we're not seeing any of those. So look at that. They're all peeling off. What they don't realize is that I'm the one peeling everybody off. And I think we'll soon be back to just us in the room. Thank you, Alison. And ciao. And then there you go. It's back to us. So
thank you, everyone, for helping us fill 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
this hour of an uneventful week.
But really, that's the thing that was this big blow up in the media. What we're talking about is Zoom bombing, and that's purely what it was. Somebody joining our call, but it's because they had the link to get in, and the session didn't have a password on it or an admit function or a lobby function, which I've got on mine. So if someone tries to join, I get to see who they are first, and I get to admit them into that room. So kind of
they were talking about how people would be putting the link in their session so where it was right on the screen when you're watching it, you could see the link.
Yeah. And but they were sharing them on social media and stuff, and there was this whole thing that people's they were sharing it on YouTube, and I'm like, well, they had to set up the share to YouTube function for that to happen. It didn't accidentally end up on YouTube, which is what the media made it out to be. So anyhow, it's got a lot more secure, and as you can see, it's still doing well. I still don't think Zoom, though, you would consider a mega conference piece of software, just like I don't think Teams you'd consider a mega conference piece of software.
Yeah, I think they both have different Zoom, I guess the big advantage, we just had 9 people, 10 people up on the screen. You can do that. You can't do that in Teams, although I think it's supposed to be coming soon. But that's kind of irrelevant if you had 1,000 people. You're not going to put 1,000 thumbnails on a screen, you know. So
yeah,
for a virtual meeting or virtual conference session, you don't really need anything. You don't need the attendees' videos at all. You need really crisp the program sharing of your PowerPoint, the really crisp tools for passing from presenter back to moderator, back to next presenter. Those sorts of transitional pieces are going to be important.
Yeah. I think the moderator function is going to be critical in that, you know, how if you've, you know, any of these events that we've been to, they'll often have an open mic, right? And they'll have in the center aisle, you can go up and you can ask the speaker. In fact, I remember Julie Yak, I was at one conference and it was Colin Powell was the speaker, right? He was one of the keynotes, Colin Powell. And so Julie gets up, you know, joins the line, and she was, and there he is. He spoke in a session. She was like, "Can I just give you a hug?" And like totally bold as that she got to win, you know, she went up on stage, gave him a hug. But what I'm saying is that in the virtual world, not necessarily giving the hug, but I'm saying that open mic needs to be run by very well orchestrated moderators, right? That have somebody come in and they can unmute them for a second, say, ask your question, mute that mic out again and go, there you go, Mr. Speaker, answer, Mrs. Speaker, answer that question, whatever it might be. I think that's the kind of stuff that we're going to need to see, because chat in a virtual event is great for the participants to chat with each other or create a commentary thread around what's been talked about. But I don't think you can use chat to engage with the speaker, which I think is a kind of a misnomer that you would normally get in Teams. In a small meeting, you can do that, but in an event like that, you're right, you can't do that.
Yeah, and Ken is talking about Teams events, which is actually the tool that was used at this conference that I was involved last week. And yeah, I think that's probably Microsoft's initial event at doing kind of broad, but that's really almost more like a webinar type software, I think. And but right now, I mean, I think on all sides for a presenter, it's clumsy. You often can't see the Q&A panel as a presenter, and you're trying to, unless you've got set up with a decent setup with multiple monitors, decent mic, decent camera, you know, even as a presenter, you struggle. There was one of the they did, which was interesting. We were talking before about these events, how do they make money? Well, they had sponsors, and the sponsors did like a 10-minute session, the same as I'm doing. I was doing the keynote, and then I did another session with, you know, a PowerPoint deck and me talking, and I think I was thumbnailed in the side of the PowerPoint deck as I was talking. And I practiced that thing ahead of time, make sure I knew how to do it, how to work it. But then the sponsors got an opportunity to basically use the exact same tool to do like a 5-minute spiel. And most of them took about 5 minutes even to get started, just fumbling around, you know,
trying to get it to work.
It's on, you know, and just, not, you can't do it from a laptop, you know, you're not going to be able to do a virtual presentation as a presenter from a laptop worth of shit. You gotta, it's going to require some preparation and have a few things in place to do it.
Yeah. I see Art saying there about tweeting the presenter and stuff. I think there's no, like, when I'm in a presentation, when I'm doing the presentation, I'm speaking, I don't have time to read messages coming in text type bite sizes or anything like that.
No,
I think
your whole train of thought.
It has to go through a curator that even takes the question, understands it, and then reflects it to the speaker, you know, to some degree, rather than just read verbatim. Because, you know, what I often see in these sessions is that the speaker tries to look at the chat and then they start reading a question. They realize, oh, that's just Tom talking to Susie in the chat about what they did last weekend. It's got nothing, but they've halfway read the sentence before they realize this has got nothing to do with what I was talking about, you know? That kind of stuff. You can't have any of that. That's why I think it's got to be audio only, as in the response or the present to the, rather than, that's my experience anyhow.
I think at scale, you have to have moderate. Microsoft does, right? I mean, when Charles or any of those folks are speaking, they're not looking at the Q&A panel at all. They don't even have it open in front of them. There's several moderators, you know, that are watching that Q&A for things that are kind of relevant to their stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, then they're flagging these things out. You know, they're clearing out all the junk to not waste his time. And then at the end, he's like, if you have any questions, you know, but I don't think he opened that up. And I don't even know if you can in the Teams live thing. I don't know if you can even open it up for other people to open mic.
No. I don't
open
think
mic
so,
is
right?
a free for all. I mean, the loudest person, you know, gets their question answered because they drowned out everybody trying to ask it one.
Yeah, the one that kind of starts speaking, they hear the chatter of other people asking questions as well, but then it's boom. This is my, you know.
Head down, volume up.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Drown out the other people.
There's supposed to be a raise your hand feature, which could be potentially, you know, you can't come off mic. You can raise your hand, and then I guess people, you know, they can go in there and say, okay, I'm gonna let you come off mic to ask your questions, so you get a little bit more control. You know.
Yeah. I see Ken says a good point there. I didn't realize that at 10,000 people is what Teams Live will handle. That's a few people, right?
Yeah, that's not new. This is
I didn't realize it was so high though that it handled 10,000.
Yeah, Teams broadcast. I think it's doing a refactoring of the stuff to compress it and send it back out like that, you know?
Yeah. Teams, what I like about Zoom, and Prashant alludes to it there, they've got a function there called Breakout Rooms. And so you can, as a moderator, send people off into a whole bunch of breakout sessions. They do their bit in there, and then at a set time get pulled back into the main event as well. And it's a very cool feature, and I've seen it a lot. As in the first time I saw it was 3 years ago. My wife was on a call with Airbnb, focus group session, because we'd been in so many Airbnbs all over the world when we were traveling, and they wanted this focus discussion group. So they brought in, I don't know, 50, 60 people, went through what the whole agenda was, and then they broke everybody up into, you know, 6 people with a moderator in each one. Got them to thrash out a question, whether it was a loyalty program or something else. And then at the end, bailed everyone back in. Thank you for the research. Here's your $50 voucher or whatever, and on your way. But it was just a very smooth. That was the first time I'd come across Zoom, and I was like, wow, it's pretty cool stuff.
I mean, think about your typical 365 Saturday event, right? It was a one-day event, often started with everybody together for some sort of a brief keynote, and then it would split off into maybe 3 different rooms with 3 different tracks, and then come back together at the end of the day with some closing deal. So the same kind of deal. And I noticed even at the virtual launch, while the tool functioned properly that they were using, there wasn't the whole agenda thing was shit.
Yeah.
Those need to be incorporated. I need to be sitting on a live session, listening to somebody, deciding I'm bored. And within the tool, I need to be able to flip over, see what else is playing right now, and just click and have it move me right over to that other session.
Yeah. And that's where I think it's more than just Teams is needed. Teams is kind of like an application, but it's a suite that needs to almost be in a single user interface of that agenda. These are the sessions running now. One click, I'm into that session.
Yep.
I don't know. Definitely some work is needed. Anyhow, we're at the top of the hour.
Perfect.
And it looks like we're done. I'm just looking at myself and delay on screen, throwing my fingers at the screen. But anyhow, thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Feel free to send us any questions that you'd like us to cover.
Hopefully there'll be some exciting stuff happening this week to talk about next week.
Yeah, but Steve, it's been good chatting with you, and we'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
As usual, now it freezes right there.